Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back again with the tips. As you can see, we're on the Squiggle website. Before I go through the round 1 tips, I'm just going to quickly go back through my last round tips. Only 4 games. I got 2 of them right. I got the Thursday night one to start things off. So I was 1 from 1. Things took a bit of a downward turn from there though. At half time, this one was looking pretty good. Brisbane were up by 46 points at one stage, and somehow they managed to choke that lead. No idea how that happened. Maybe Kadeen Coleman going down had something to do with it. And then this tip looked like one of the worst tips of all time at half time. Suns are up by 61 points. Richmond, for a little while there, were actually looking like they could make a comeback, kick like 6 or 7 goals in a row or something. They cut the margin from what was, I believe it was like 67 points at one stage, and it got down to as low as like only 4 goals, but then Gold Coast steadied the ship in the last quarter. And I got the final tip correct with GWS getting the job done over Collingwood, and with that I got 2 out of 4, so not the best, but certainly could have done worse to start things off. So, round 1, every team's going to be playing this round. Let's just get straight into it, starting off with what is usually the opening game of the season, Carlton taking on Richmond. So, Richmond looked pretty dismal in their matchup. A step, definitely in the first half, they were absolutely awful. I didn't watch that game, but I saw the highlights, and it was just a procession out of the middle for Gold Coast. It looked like a training drill at times. Obviously, they steadied the ship and got the margin back to something that is at least somewhat respectable. Carlton, well, Sam Doherty's gone down with an ACL, so that put a little bit of a dampener on their amazing comeback win. From 46 points down, like I already said, that is quite remarkable, really. Harry Mackay shook off his demons with that match-winning goal, kicked 3 goals, 1 behind on the night, I believe. He played well. So did Charlie Curnow, kicked 4 on either side of half-time. So I think this is a pretty safe tip going with Carlton here. That back line for Richmond is looking worrying. Josh Gibcus doesn't look like he's ready to take on the big power forwards yet. And he's going to be taking on either Charlie Curnow or Harry Mackay this week. Yeah, this could get ugly. I think Charlie Curnow, he's going to kick a bag. Potentially Harry Mackay as well. Yeah, this will get ugly, I reckon. I think that Carlton showed that they are not a team to be underestimated this year. I can't really see Richmond getting too much better than what they were in that opening round performance. I don't think they're going to get any players back from injury. Maybe once they start to get a few players back from injuries like Dustin Martin, Nick Curvis, Tom Lynch, then they'll start to turn things around. But for now, yeah, it's looking pretty dire for Richmond. Collingwood taking on Sydney. This should be a pretty interesting matchup. Sydney obviously started things off with a pretty comfortable win in the end. It was close for most of the game, but we really kicked away in that last quarter. So Collingwood, on the other hand, they really got shown up by GWS. It was a bit of a reality check for them. Obviously, coming off the flag, perhaps they were just a little bit less hungry than what they were last season. So whether that'll be a real wake-up call for them and they'll come out firing in this game, I don't really know. I hope not. But I think there's every possibility that in front of a home crowd they will fire up, and I'm going to be tipping them for their first win of the season. While I was impressed with what we did on Thursday night, I'm not fully convinced that we're going to be premiership contenders yet this year. Melbourne, I did tip to fall out of the top 8, so that win was... I expected to win that game. So it's I'm just going to hold off yet. If we win this game, then I'm going to be pretty confident that we are going to be a top 4 side this year. But for now, we'll wait and see. I'm going to tip Collingwood to win this one by 11 points. Essendon taking on Hawthorn now. Traditional rivals, these two teams. I'm not really expecting much out of either of them. I think Essendon are probably going to be slightly better, but I can't really see that either of them making much of a push for finals. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Essendon go in this game. They've got a few new recruits, so I guess we'll see how much of an impact all of those players are going to have. Hawthorn, yeah, I'm not really expecting too much of them in the early stages of the season. They do have a number of injuries on their hands, and I think they were going to be a bottom 4 side anyway, so I'll tip Essendon to win this one by about, let's go 24. That's not 24 points. There, that's 24 points. Moving on to GWS taking on North Melbourne. GWS looked extremely good, arguably the most impressive team of the opening round, beating the reigning premiers quite comfortably in the end. The margin was out to like 50 points at one stage, and then Collingwood kicked a few junk time goals to bring it back to 32 points. Their key forwards in Jesse Hogan and Callum Brown, if you can count him as a key forward, look very impressive. Brent Daniels, 4 goals. Their midfield, their backline, everything looked in working order. I think they're going to show no mercy. They are going to absolutely smash North Melbourne in this game. It'll be probably the biggest margin of the opening round. I'm going to tip them to win this one by, I reckon they'll do a number on North Melbourne, 81 points. North did look impressive in the pre-season. However, I'm not really sure how much we can take out of that. The game against St Kilda, they only lost that by 3 goals. However, they had St Kilda had nearly double the scoring shots. So if St Kilda had a kick more accurately, that scoreline would have looked a bit different. So yeah, I think that North Melbourne, I've got them for the spoon. GWS are going to show no mercy in this early part of the season. They really want to stamp their authority on the competition, and they're going to demolish North Melbourne. Geelong versus St Kilda at Cardinia Park. This has not been a happy hunting ground for St Kilda at all. They've won, I'm not even sure if they've won a game this century actually. So if that's anything to go by, then Geelong would probably be a safe tip. However, I think that the Saints are going to do great things this year, while Geelong I see as continuing to be a bit of a mediocre side after a pretty dismal 2023 season. This is the start of the decline for Geelong, and as a result, I'm going to tip St Kilda to win this one. I don't know when the last time they won at the Cattery was. It would be a very long time ago, but I think they're going to get the job done against Geelong. I think that St Kilda are going to be a very good side in 2024. I've got them in the top 4. So yeah, I'm going to be tipping them to come out and get their first win of the season at the Cattery. Not many tougher tasks in footy, but I think they can certainly get the job done here. Gold Coast taking on Adelaide is this one at Carrara? Okay, yeah. For some reason, well, they played in the NT last year, so for some reason I thought it was back at the NT, but no, this one's at People's First Stadium. It's been renamed to. Gold Coast very impressive last week, especially in the first half. Dropped away a little bit, but still won the game comfortably. Adelaide, I think, are going to be a very good side this year. They should make finals for sure. Up on the Gold Coast, I think that Richmond aren't going to be a very good team this year. Not taking anything away from their performance, they were obviously very impressive, but I will tip Adelaide in this one by 14 points. It'll be an interesting matchup though for sure. The Melbourne Demons and the Bulldogs now. So Melbourne obviously coming off a disappointing loss in the opening round. They're going to get Cozzy Pickett back for this game, which will help out their forward line for sure. that was, yeah, their forward line was pretty dismal against the Swans. They just really had no mid to forward connection at all. They were just bombing it inside 50 and it just never worked. So Cozzy Pickett should, hopefully for their sake, solve some of those issues. He will be more of a presence at ground level than a marking target though. This one's a tough one. I don't really know who to tip, to be honest. Melbourne would want to bounce back, but I don't really know. I think I'll probably go on the safe side and tip Melbourne to win this one. I'll go by 10 points. The Bulldogs, they're a tough team to pick this year. If they perform as well as their list says they should, then they'll be one of the best teams. However, they are just such a weird side. Luke Beveridge is constantly changing things around, so they can't really get a whole lot of, consistency in their game style, which has really made them falter in the last few years. So I think it's entirely possible that the Bulldogs could come out and demolish Melbourne in this one, but I just can't quite trust the Bulldogs yet. Port taking on West Coast, this will be another blowout. I think Port are going to be an exceptional side this year. West Coast, I think their floor is the spoon and their ceiling is about 17th. I really can't see them finishing any higher than that. I think that Port will come out and they'll pretty much they'll really put the Eagles to the sword. You'd think first game of the season they wouldn't want to underestimate anybody, so Port will win this one very comfortably. Final game of the round now, Fremantle taking on Brisbane. Brisbane absolutely had a shocking choke, 46 points up in the second quarter, and they managed to lose that game somehow. Fremantle, I can't really see them doing much this year, so I think that Brisbane, they definitely want to bounce back after that loss, and I definitely think they should. So I'm going to be tipping them by 34 points. I think they should win this one comfortably. It is in Perth, but I don't think that'll make much of a difference. I think Brisbane will be hungry to win this one, and I just don't think that Fremantle have the talent on their list to match it with Brisbane, even though they did lose that last game. So that is the end of round one. Got GWS on top of the ladder. Obviously they've played an extra game compared to some teams, but I've got them with a massive percentage of 213, while North Melbourne, the team they faced, with a very low percentage in 25.7. That'd be one of the lower round one percentages that I could remember. So Adelaide, Gold Coast rounding out the top 8. So even though I have them losing the round one game, they're still in the top 8. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but and the other teams, Carlton, Port Adelaide and Essendon in the top 4. Sydney out of the top 8 completely. Yeah, this is one of the more strange round one ladders that you'll see because of teams winning and still not being inside the top 8. So look, not really too much to take out of the ladder yet, and I mean that's just my predicted ladder at the end of round one. So that'll pretty much wrap up the video. I hope you did enjoy. Comment down your round one predictions in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.